Hi everyone, Morten Åstad here. Welcome to my channel. Today I thought I would do a thread response maybe. I've seen a couple of people do this, but it is a response to James Griffiths' video. 10 artists I own on vinyl, but not on CD. And his approach to this was, I suppose, having been young and a child and then a teenager back when vinyl was the physical media that we would buy, apart from cassettes. And then there was a transition. We got CDs in the mid to late 80s, and then some of us started buying CDs and not buying records anymore. But then during this time of the CD, if you like, not that it's necessarily completely over compared to vinyl and the vinyl revival, some of us would buy some of those records that we had on vinyl all over again on CD, or we'd stop buying vinyl from an artist and continue buying from that artist on CD maybe. Some then chucked in their CDs or chucked in their vinyl, and some might have started streaming. Some might have gotten into a serious relationship with a woman who told them that I'm important, your record collection isn't, and so on and so forth. But then we came back to vinyl, or we wouldn't be doing these videos as members of the vinyl community. But what did we do with our CDs? All interesting questions. I never got rid of my CDs. I kept buying CDs even when I got back on the vinyl train, which I did in 2014. That's when I bought a record player, and I started playing some of the old records I had from my childhood and teenage years. But I came to the conclusion that I had not spun a vinyl album for probably what was that came up to 19 years when I got my record player again. Because the last time I had a record player that I was spinning records on, it was 1995. My father passed away, and I moved not only, in Oslo, but I actually moved from Oslo and Norway to Denmark, and I left my old records initially behind in Oslo, and then I later on had my record collection shipped to Denmark, where I never got any use of them because I never had a record player in Denmark. So when I moved back up to Norway, and then in 2014 I got my record player, I started bringing some of those old records up to Norway as well. But what about artists then that I do not own on CD? And why? Well, because some artists I've discovered after I started buying records again, and some I rediscovered but kept whatever records I had from back in the day. So that's how that worked out, I suppose. So I thought I'll do what he did. I'll grab 10 records by artists that I have more than one record from. At least I decided that it had to be at least 3 or 4 records for them to go into this video. And I didn't get any further than the letter G, and I had 10 records, so there aren't any later than. And I'll try and remember why I have these on vinyl and not on CD. So we'll start with Brain Salad Surgery. Why that one in particular, I don't know. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This was not the first one that I bought, but it was the one that I've always wanted somehow. Unlike, some Alan Parsons project and other things, I never ever knew anything particularly about this when I was a child and a teenager, so that's why. And then I don't know why I didn't pick up on this in the CD age, because I was still listening to 60s and 70s music, even though it was, the 90s and 2000s. So I grabbed one of these at a record fair after I got my record player, and that's how I ended up with only vinyl from them. And of course, this is slightly bent. There's some issues on the, but I got this for a very nice price. The vinyl plays beautifully. There's been some patchwork done up here, but it was the album art really that drew me to this, because this is H.R. Giger, the Swiss artist, of course, who was the man behind the art for the xenomorph from the Alien movies that the first two that I really love. So that's the first one of several artists that I own solely on vinyl and have no CDs. Next up is one that sort of baffled me, but I came to the conclusion, yes, David Lee Roth. I do not own any of his solo work on CDs, and I thought, how is that possible? I distinctly remember holding, that plastic cover in my hand and walking around listening to it on my ears, and then I remember, of course, that was even further back. I was walking around listening to this on my Walkman. I owned, and I think I still own this one and maybe the previous one on cassette, but I never had it on CD, because David Lee Roth, once I transitioned to CDs, never really interested me that much. I kept listening to Van Halen, but for many years, probably because I had it on cassette and didn't have a cassette player, I didn't bother. And then I bought his 3 first solo albums plus his solo debut EP on vinyl once I got a record player, and have enjoyed it, but never got any of his stuff on CD. And this is my favorite of his, Skyscraper. Great cover, reminds me of that Sylvester Stallone film. Can you remember back when all the villains in American action movies were Brits? Then they started becoming French, I think, for a while. Yeah, wonderful album, and I'm happy to have David Lee Roth only on vinyl. Well, and a couple of cassettes, but let's not talk about that. So here's an artist who, among many of these artists, definitely is, a discovery from my post-vinyl record player purchase. And I now don't remember how I discovered her, but it's most likely from some of my Welsh connections and the fact that I love Wales, and I keep going on about it. And it is, of course, Gwenno, and this is her record Tresor, which means treasure. And it was not the first that I bought of her records. That was Olaf. Oh, yeah, I don't remember now. Sorry, the title. Her 3 first solo albums are in Welsh, and then second album is in Cornish, and third album is in Welsh again. She just released a brand new album, which I hopefully will have a video out about fairly soon. It's actually on my record player now, and it's the first one where she sings in English, but there are 1 or 2 in the vinyl community that do mention Gwenno Saunders, and Mike being one of them. And I just adore her, and like I said, this is an artist I discovered after I started buying vinyl again, and I've seen no need to I see no need to get these on CD because the vinyl is just so wonderful and she's so wonderful. So that's the reason for that. Whether it was Steve or Mike who introduced me to this band, it's also yet again a band that I discovered after I bought a record player, and I stayed with vinyl only for them, and it's Amel and the Sniffers. I do not own any of their records on CD, and although some Australians out there have professed not being fans of these guys, some do, and this is a discovery and a band that I discovered because of the vinyl community. And then once I discovered them, of course, I saw them everywhere because they're quite popular in Norway as well, and they played at Øya Festival and so on. That I love them. I adore listening to them. I do listen to them quite a bit on streaming because I like the rhythm when I'm out walking. So Amel is good keeping up the pace when out walking music. Next artist is Norwegian, and definitely an artist I was considering buying on CD because the sound and the soundscape and not having to get up and flip the record would have been sometimes preferable, and also because at some stage I did find CDs and I had a hard time getting more vinyl, but in the end I stayed the course, and I only bought records by Aurora on a vinyl, and I'm very happy about that because it's such a significant Norwegian artist for this millennia, I suppose, the 2010s and 20s. She's just absolutely wonderful and adorable. It's the same thing I wish I would have known about or could have done with Björk. Björk, I own, Sugar Cube's records on vinyl from back in the day. But, of course, when I started listening to Björk, it was the day of CD. And now I really want her stuff on vinyl as well. But, time and money. But Aurora, I stayed on vinyl, and it lends some sort of gravitas to how important I think her music is, and how wonderful to have this and all her records on vinyl. And when I say all, it's now 5 albums, right? Yeah, five studio albums by Aurora. Next up is Baroness. I do not own anything by Baroness on CD. Like I don't own anything by another band I might mention as a bonus here. I'm not sure. Baroness, I was told about them playing in Oslo, and that I should go and check them out. But I do not remember who did that. But I think it was a reference about me discovering them through another band. And they said, if you like them, then you really need to go and see Baroness. And so I called up my nephew and asked him if he could get me in to see them, because he works at the concert venue, and he did. And they knocked my socks off. I really, really dug them. So and the artwork and everything. And this is the red one, I suppose. Their albums have tended to be named after colors. And I just love Baroness, and I started buying them on vinyl, in part because I wanted that artwork in this format. Because I immediately toyed with the idea of getting them on CD, and in some ways I did regret it a little bit, because I felt sometimes that listening to them on vinyl was a bit of a chore because the length of their songs and albums. But yeah, I'm really happy I have Baroness on vinyl. So sometimes you just saunter into a record shop and they're playing some music there, and you go and ask them, hey, what is this? And they say, well, it's the brand new album by Big Thief. And it was the white one, something whale with a drawing of a dinosaur. I don't remember the title now. But I'm showing my favorite of theirs, which is Two Hands. So I bought that record back then and brought it home and absolutely adored it. And then I just ended up buying everything else I could come across by Big Thief. I know that as individual artists, they do have records out there which I would love to get as well. Of course, you want to get everything, but that is the reason I started listening to Big Thief. And since their discography was relatively, small and easy to handle. They have a brand new album coming out in September this year. That's why I stuck with them on vinyl, and I'm happy to do so. I have done so. Was it 5 or 6 albums? And I even ordered a couple from the US so I could get special color. Newbury Comics, I think. Yeah. There you are. Another artist that I discovered after I started buying records again. Many of them are hard rock and heavy metal and black metal, and I've only stuck with vinyl for them. I discovered them because I follow a brewer on YouTube called he calls himself Master of Hoppets. I met him a couple of times. He's from Aalborg in Denmark, and he, I think he wore a T-shirt from them at some stage. But he also went to Gothenburg in Sweden to do a collaboration brewing with with a Swedish brewery that knew this band, and the band came along and they brewed together, and that is Dark Tranquility, and this is the first album I bought by them. I want more, but the oldest vinyl seems to pop up and be sold out before I manage to grab them. So what is it? I have 4 albums by Dark Tranquility now. And I chose this one, Atoma, because of the beautiful artwork. So there is a band I only have on vinyl, no CDs, and the reason I have them at all is because of a Danish brewer. Craft brewer, by the way. Important to say. I do not remember exactly how I started listening to this band, but I think it stemmed from another band mentioning one of the songwriters here having been involved with Tom Hanks' film That Thing You Do, and the music from that, and maybe also through the Monkees and their final album. But anyway, I only own this band on vinyl as well, and that's Fountains of Wayne, of course. And we miss Adam Schlesinger dearly, and I have all of their albums on vinyl apart from one, their final album. Which I hope will get a repress at some stage. This is just the best pop songwriting there is, and Collingwood and Schlesinger, the stuff they wrote together and apart, and again, sometimes you feel that owning only vinyl by a band that really means something special to you, even though it's a late discovery, lends extra gravitas to it. again, next band I discovered after I got a record player, but I discovered the band through these concerts that were held by the Nobel Peace Institute here in Norway, and they sung some cover songs, and they are from Sweden, and they have wonderful harmonies and all that, and that's the reason why I only have First Aid Kit on vinyl, and I have all their studio albums, and they are absolutely wonderful and absolutely gorgeous, the way they perform the songs, and more folksy than, let's say, Haim, but the same sort of that little mischievous way of looking at all of you and saying, we are bloody marvelous, aren't we? And when they're performing. So the sisters in the First Aid Kit, love them. I love their music, and I've stayed only on vinyl with them as well. Now, I have shown 10 albums, but I'll show one more as a bit of a bonus. As you remember, I said that someone told me that if I liked a specific band, I should listen to Baroness, which, I'm happy I did. And that band is Mastodon. Now, how did I get into Mastodon? Well, it was very shortly after I got my record player, and I had discovered Gojira also around this time, and again, I didn't choose them because I have one CD by them, because there was a record I kept looking for on vinyl, and I couldn't get it. I do have it now, but so I ended up buying it on CD. So that kind of disqualifies them, and also I can't remember why I got into them. But the reason I got into Mastodon is because I was watching QI with Bill Bailey. Bill Bailey, of course, is an English comedian and musician, and he's wonderful, and I love him dearly, and I've seen him live performing here in Oslo many a time. But he wore a t-shirt by a band, and I love the artwork of that t-shirt, and I checked up the band, and what t-shirt art was that? Well, it was this. He was wearing the Hunter t-shirt from Mastodon. And I said, Mastodon? Well, that sounds cool. So I checked them up on the old Spotify or whatever it was back then. And I just loved what I heard. And went out and got this. And then I obviously got the rest of it gradually. And I love Mastodon. And that is, I suppose, the reason I stayed with them on vinyl. But also the reason why I got into them in the first place was the comedian Bill Bailey. So I hope you enjoyed that video, which was, of course, inspired by watching James Griffiths and his idea for that. And I'll leave a link in the description and all that, and check out his video, and all his videos. You probably know him and don't know me. That was it. Yeah. Do I have anything? Yeah, please click like. That helps my channel. If you want to subscribe, that makes me happy. And hi to all my new subscribers. And I hope to see you guys soon in another video. Bye bye.